Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with culture and brand strategist Aldin Jackson discussing how he discovered his love for marketing, being persistent in adding value to brands and companies, and always finding the white space. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and I'm sitting down with Aldin Jackson. Dean, what up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's early in Atlanta on Memorial Day.
And I appreciate you for taking your Memorial Day to sit down with me.
I'm here.
Yes, it's a pleasure. So we've talked in the past, but this is a culture and brand strategist, someone who's had 17 years of experience in this business. How do you feel?
I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Currently, you're at Reebok. Now you moved to Boston.
Yes.
And what's your current role?
It's a global collaborations asset manager for Reebok. I work within the entertainment and influencer marketing division. So basically it's entertainment marketing. But there at Reebok, I am responsible for delivering insights throughout the entire company, as well as the business and administrative portion of bringing collaborations together. So when you see something like Pierre Moss and Reebok, I will work on something like that. Victoria Beckham and Reebok, anything. You might see a movie. I know in the past it was like Toy Stories and Reebok. So anything like that, are the type of things I work on.
So, I mean, you pretty much can get as innovative as possible. It seems like you can do much of anything. Reebok especially is a type of brand that probably allows you to do so, you could say?
Yes, a lot of creative freedom to, think outside the box. No pun intended. But think outside the box and how you can partner with other creatives, designers, partners to help them elevate their brands, as well as help us put our brand in areas and positions and conversations and rooms that we may not normally be in.
Right. So you're from Atlanta.
Originally from Philly, but I've been in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta Memorial Day weekend, 1995.
Really?
Yes.
What was going on besides Memorial Day weekend? What?
Well, I was a kid. My mother said we had to move. So
Gotcha.
I was going to the 7th grade. So
wow. But you're basically from Atlanta.
Yes.
How would you say, or how did it feel to move, being from Atlanta, or being in Atlanta for so long, to a place like Boston, now where you are?
Culture shock.
Culture shock?
Culture shock. Because the truth is Atlanta is so densely populated with African Americans. And then when you go to other cities, not anything about Boston, it could be anywhere, whether it's LA, New York, Philly, it doesn't matter.
Reality hits.
You just really get to understand once you go away, like the rich community that we have, not rich in money, but like rich in heritage, rich in responsibility for our city. Like people in Atlanta, we getting like heavily involved in politics and in the mayoral race, governor's race. We've seen that in the past. So everything, real estate, it's just so many things that Atlanta and our community here are hands-on with, like from the ground up. So.
Right. So how did you realize that what you're doing now was your purpose, that you were doing exactly what you needed to be doing in terms of entertainment marketing? Because I know you have history from, we talked about it off the record, but DTP interning, and you've done some stuff in Dash Radio,
Coca Cola.
You've done a variety of things.
I think it goes back to, I think we all are drawn to our passions at a young age. I'm talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. So
what was something you were passionate about earlier?
And like my aunt I give her full credit for introducing me to hip hop, everything. She's 12 years older than me. So she was my mom's younger sister. So she was raised as like my older sister. Right. So, but she's my aunt. So it was that time, I can remember as far as back like 1987, I was 5 years old. So when she was 17, getting ready to go out to that, Run DMC concert or Airbnb and Rakim, or she'll be watching MTV and she'll see people dress a certain way and she'll want to emulate how they dress, right? So even at that young age, I didn't know it was marketing. I didn't know it was a place to work in the music or entertainment business. All I knew was that I seen my aunt doing everything she seen on TV. Mm-hmm. So I was like, why are they doing this? And you step outside, the older you get, and people are dressing like people on TV. And like, so it was like, I was always drawn to that. Like, why? Or they're dressing like them or talking like them or wear those big earrings or, you know, the music blasting loud in the car or the rims on the car. So it knew it was something. I didn't know it was marketing. I didn't even know how to describe it. I was very young. Of course, I loved music and dancing around as a kid, but, you know.
So did you ever have like interest in being the talent or being...
Of course. I think we all do at some point. I remember I had older cousins and they was always, you know, had the basement studios and, oh, we're going to make an album. We're going to make it big and be rich. And I would always go to the studio with them and sit in the corner. I was the youngest on that side, had older cousins. They was about the same thing, about 12 years older than me or something like that, or, you know, 10 years older than me. So I just wanted to go, be around it. Once again, didn't know what it was. Truly, I just know they were in the studio rapping, recording, whatever. Didn't know the business of it. I was a kid.
Right.
But I just knew I wanted to be around it.
Right. So tell me what a culture and brand strategist is. What does that look like? How does that look?
Number one, I always go to this. People have the word culture. The people have abused the word, overly used the word for the culture this. And I think that nobody truly, the people that's blurting it out doesn't understand what it means. For me, what it means is going back to 1987, right? That same, when you watch a movie like Crush Groove or something like that, if you watch something like Backstage, Hard Knock Life with Jay-Z and them, those people at that time, they were fighting to be heard. It's almost, I don't want to compare like this, but like the civil rights movement. It was like the civil rights movement of hip hop. It was like, we just want to be heard. Like, we're not here to harm anybody just because our music is loud, just because our pants is sagging, just because we're breakdancing or, you know, doing something that you're unfamiliar with. We're not here to harm anybody. We just want to be heard. And this is a form of expression through graffiti, through dance, through
fashion,
music, through rap, everything. So, so for the culture means to me, like, by any means necessary for the progression of hip-hop music, art, and business. You know.
Dope. So why do brands need someone like you, Dean, to bridge the gap? Because you talk about essentially having this experience, driving certain programs and certain strategies, bridging the gap between the corporate boardroom and consumers. You use the term intrinsic cultural nuances. Yes.
So, honest. The first word is, the two key words that always have to resonate is honest and authentic. Honest and authentic. When you see mistakes made in the past, like the Burberry or something with the noose around the neck, or H&M with the black face, whatever, right? There's somebody in that office, in that room. I'm sure there's somebody, African-American, a person of color, of minority descent, you know, that didn't speak up. Right? So for me...
Why do you think that is?
Because people want to protect their jobs and protect their check every 2 weeks. And that's just God honest truth. People would rather be quiet and get the check on Friday versus speaking up and shake the table. So me, like, I feel like my position is, whether at Reebok, whether DTP, Coca Cola, wherever I go, even just if it's just in conversation with friends, wherever I go, I think it's my personal responsibility to say, yo, that's whack. Somebody has to say it. That's whack. And that's not saying I have all the answers, not saying I have all the ideas, but you know when something's not right. As a human, as an adult, as a person. Once again, this has nothing to do with Black. This has nothing to do with African American. Because at the end of the day, I always give people an example. If I'm running a multicultural agency that's catered to the African American demographic, right? And I get an account, but they want us to tap into the Hispanic demographic, or they want us to tap into the Asian American demographic. And I go off to create strategies. And I'm not very familiar with that. And I'm trying to create strategies of maybe what I saw on TV or what I overheard or what I read in a book.
Yeah.
I might not hit the mark.
Right.
So I might do some things that could be deemed as disrespectful to that culture, to that demographic. So,
Well, why would you say that brands struggle to connect or understand culture? Or do you think they even have an interest in understanding culture? Because, I mean, you're somebody you in it, you know what I mean? And I'm happy that you just said what you said, like, hey, if I am trying to tap into a different culture that's not mine, maybe I should have somebody in that space or have a conversation with somebody who actually is a part of that culture. But a lot of brands, they struggle with that. Why?
I think now that it's like, it should be a prerequisite that every brand, once again, it's not about black, white, I'm black and I know hip hop. Every brand should have an individual in the room that understands hip hop culture, right? And how to deliver the message to the target consumer. Because what happens is, my example is Cardi B, for example. Let's use her. She's from the Bronx, Latina, Hispanic. She's doing hip hop. She's excelling at hip hop at a high level, right? But there's a young white girl in middle America that loves Cardi B the same way there's a girl in Watts that loves Cardi B. It's also a young lady in South Africa that loves Cardi B, Australia, and we can keep going. So with that being said, we're not talking about color right now. We're talking about a state of mind, right? So we're really marketing to a state of mind and not the color of the skin. So we're marketing to somebody that loves hip hop, that loves fashion, that loves whatever's cool. At that time or whatever. So,
okay, so let's talk about how I know at the tender age of like 5, you recognized like, hey, how are these people influencing people to do things, right? But then, as you got older, you get to high school. That's probably like the, next point where you're like, okay, what am I about to do?
Shameless plug, Tri-Cities High School, East Point, Georgia.
Okay, shout out to the South Side.
Talented individuals that pass through those hallways.
And me as a Mays alum, I'm gonna shout out my APS family.
Yeah.
But no, shout out to Tri-Cities, and it was a lot of culture and a lot of people who were doing amazing things. Like that have come out of Tri-Cities, including yourself. So
one thing about me growing up, coming through as I got older, middle school, high school, even to today, I've always been in like, I don't even know what word to use, but like just a habitual researcher. Like I'm a Googler, just want the information, what's going on out there. So when I was coming up, we had things like MTV Diary, all those kind of things, making the video. Once again, always loved hip hop. Always, bought all the CDs every Tuesday before the date was Friday, the release date, when it was a standard Tuesday release date at Peppermint Music and all those kind of places, Tower. Sitting at home in 12th grade, never forget it. And it was around 1998, 99 when it was on a Hard Knock Life tour, Jay-Z, Ja Rule, all of them. And it was the Diary of Ja Rule. And one thing I did know is I didn't want to be a rapper. Couldn't make music. Didn't want to be a producer. I wanted to be a part of it, right? So Ja Rule gets off the bus, and he's walking with this white lady. And her name and title pops up, says Julie Greenswald, Director of Marketing, Def Jam Records. I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I told myself right there at that moment. And the reason why, my purpose being a young kid, the only reason why I want to do that, because I seen that she was standing next to the artist. This was Ja Rule, on fire, headed to be one of the biggest artists in the world, and she was walking with the artist everywhere he went. I wanted to walk with the cool artists or whoever, so that's what I want to do. I locked in on that. 12th grade, I went to school the next day, and they had like some marketing program that they were starting. Really? Yeah, you had to stay after school every day. for like an hour or 2 hours with the marketing teacher and like learn. And the incentive was at the end of the course, you get like a gateway desktop computer or a gateway laptop computer. That was your options that you get after completing the course. And I completed the course, got me a gateway big desktop with the screen or whatever. And at that time, they were giving college credits for the course. Like they gave you 2 credits towards Atlanta Tech College.
Right.
For this course. So I was like, but my thing was the computer. Like,
right.
Free computer.
Yeah.
Cool. So I did that, and then I was like, well, damn. I already got 2 credits.
Might as well.
So I might well continue on this trajectory. So it was that, and then just research. I was like, Black Enterprise, the cover with Russell Simmons on it.
So, but at that point, after completing the course, what did you learn about marketing? Did it excite you? Were you like, was it turning some gears there?
Still no, because it was still Julie Greenswald was walking with Ja Rule. So this is the only way I can get, if I'm not a rapper or a producer, to be a part of that, right? This was me understanding that there was a role in the music business that wasn't A&R, that wasn't producer, that wasn't DJ or, something like that. And then during that same time span, like I mentioned, the Hard Knock Life was coming out DVD, and I used to watch it every day. And that's how I started learning the titles and roles of the music industry, because throughout that whole movie and documentary, they would pop up people's titles. So, Ty with Jay-Z, he's Jay-Z's road manager. And this person, Ron Bird, is the tour manager for the Hard Knock Life tour. So I was like, so I would literally jot these people's names down in the book, title, Def Jam, and like had it in the book, right? So something told me that I would meet these people one day. Didn't know how, didn't know when, didn't know where, but something told me in my mind I want to meet these people one day. So,
have you?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to pretty much meet everyone who was in that documentary at some point or another, even if it was just one time. Like I've been fortunate enough to meet at least one of those people. So
you ended up going to college?
Yes and no. Just be honest. Yes and no. Like I said, once I came out of it was Tri-City, and I went over to Open Campus, and then Atlanta Tech, then over to CAU for a short amount of time, and I was like, this really ain't for me. Like,
why?
Because I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
And nobody could have changed my mind. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Right. And I felt like that wasn't there. But what I did know was being around CAU and all that was access. Right. So if you want to fast forward just a teeny bit, Damon Dash was doing the Paid in Full soundtrack. But they I guess they did some kind of deal where they were doing like HBCU homecomings. That was the Paid in Full tour. So I was over at CAU and finagled my way backstage. And it was like Nicole Ray and the Young Guns. And I don't even think it was Young Guns. It was like Nicole Ray and Freeway and Diplomats. And I seen somebody walking around with this Def Jam jacket on. So I got finished watching this, this documentaries, these all these MTV specials of people that work at Def Jam. And at that time, all I knew was Def Jam. Excuse me. And I seen the dude walking around, his jacket said Def Jam on it. Tapped him on the shoulder. His name was Malcolm, never forget it. And I said, man, I just want to do anything, pass out flyers. I just want to be around. How did you get your job? And he gave me his business card. And I called him 30 million times. And he called me back one day and said, I'm going to bring you some posters and a stapler and a disposable camera and put all them posters up, take all the pictures until there's no pictures left in this disposable camera, and call me back so I can get my camera back. That's how I started.
Street team.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people's stories.
Yeah.
But, I mean, not really.
Because it was the entry point into the music business. Even if you wasn't in the office, and there was a lot of people at certain now, street team is going away. Some people use it really loosely. I know DJ Khaled just did some street team stuff. But it was the entry point to be, number one, affiliated with a certain crew, because each street team, each label had their own street teams, and it was really competitive. Like if you was DTP, if you was Grand Hustle, or Rockefeller, whatever label, No Limit, it was like you was a part of that clique.
Right.
And you couldn't put up nobody else's poster boards or whatever.
Right.
So that was the entry point.
Yeah. See, it was a little different for me because I actually worked with Def Jam in college too. But at that point, we weren't like putting up flyers and stuff. But it was like, okay, plan this event for your college and like, but the same similar thing.
Yeah,
that's dope. So I imagine marketing to be a little different from when you first started, i.e.,
definitely.
Putting up the promotions physically versus like maybe Instagram or social media. How have you seen the industries change since you started? Like, let's talk about some of the pros and cons of like
the cons. The biggest con is budgets have gotten smaller. Period. Mm-hmm. The pros is that people have to get more creative because there's less money.
Why are the budgets gotten smaller?
At the labels, the budgets have gotten smaller, right? Yeah. So, but what happened was people started seeking out ancillary money, brand partnerships, i.e. I think that started a lot with that we know of, like a Steve Stout, we know Jay-Z, Reebok, all that kind of stuff. But even before that, people don't know that when Jay-Z did the Give It To Me video, Steve Stout was responsible for putting all those Motorola pages in the video. But even before that, it's a documentary that people can go and watch on YouTube. It's called like The Legend of Shep Gordon. And he was essentially the original white dude, as like the original Steve Stout, like the original brand partnerships connector back in like the late 70s, early 80s for like Aerosmith and Jimi Hendrix and different chefs. Like he was like, it's a lot. I can go down that rabbit hole, but people need to check that out.
Yeah.
The Legend of Shep Gordon.
Yeah. So people like a Shep Gordon or Steve Stout or Dean Jackson, like what do you think it is about you guys? Like it seems like y'all are the type of people who are willing to have the conversation or willing to put yourself in those spaces.
The thing is, you have to see the white space. And the white space is like, that's where the opportunity is. Mm-hmm. So even just using myself, for example, like my first ever brand partnership opportunity came around DTP days. I got a phone call.
How did you get to DTP? Let's talk about that.
The guy, Malcolm. Yes, he was on a street team for, it was Def Jam South. It was DTP and Def Jam South shared the same office. Back when Scarface was the president, Shaka was the vice president, and Luda was building his team and all that. And he gave me, like I said, he gave me his card, bought me posters, and it was a while before I even got to see the DTP office, because I was just down there on campus, and when I needed posters, I was just calling him, he'd bring me more, a new stapler, a new disposable camera, and one day, but you have to see, I've always been the person that's like, the fuck it person, like I'm gonna just do what I wanna do. That has helped me, that has hurt me a lot with the fuck it, I'm gonna do what I wanna do thing. But I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the fuck it, I'm gonna do, because everything that's ever happened to me, good, came off of fuck it, I'm gonna do what I wanna do.
That risk.
Big risk, like life-changing risk, like meaning like if this fuck up, I can be homeless.
So what type of risk were you taking?
Meaning like,
can you recall like one specific risk?
I can recall all my risks, but meaning like if somebody told me like, yo, you don't gotta come up to the office, just stay down here, call me when you need these posters, and I can remember, and at this time I didn't even have a car, but it was other kids on campus that had cars. And I can remember somebody saying, yeah, man, I got to go pick my posters up at the DTP office. I'm getting in the car with you. I don't even know where it's at. I'm getting in the car with you. I got to go pick my posters up too.
Right.
Oh, this where it's at. Oh, 11th and Peachtree. Okay, now I know how to get here. Right. Went in there, so many people along the way, built friendships, turned into families, but so many people along the way that just taught me things and provided opportunities. There was like one guy, his name was Shawnee Lude. He was one of the early directors and marketing promo people for DTP. And he pulled me into his office like, man, what you doing? Like, what are you doing? I was like, man, I'm just trying to find my way. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to be around it. And he was like, man, I'm saying, I'm not getting paid. I got this little prepaid cell phone. I don't even know how I'm going to pay the bill next month. And he had his own promo company. He was the one that showed me, like, with my own eyes, like, to build an LLC and all that kind of stuff. And he opened up a checkbook, and it was all his checks for his company. And he wrote me a check for $100. Like, I was like, oh, man. So that was the first ever money I got. And that was his own promo company. So that was actually the first dollar I made, the first $100 from my passion, from what I love to do.
Yeah. How did you feel in that moment? You're like, okay.
I was like, damn,
I can do this.
It's the money here, right? And then once again, opportunity. And it was just timing, too. My life has been all about timing. That was 2002, when October 2002, around that homecoming time. 2003, All-Star Weekend was coming to Atlanta. And it was a guy named Shay, who I look like a cousin, like a big brother figure. And he's related to Jeff and Shaka and them over there. And Shay was one of the street team guys, role manager type guys as well. And he came into the office. I'm gonna do a competition. Whoever can. They was having a celebrity basketball game at Morehouse for All-Star Weekend. I think it was like DTP versus Social Def or something like that. And he said, whoever can sell the most tickets to this celebrity basketball game get $1,000. So we was out there hustling tickets. And I lost. I didn't get it. My man JP got it. So shout out to JP. But it was like just that hustle, and wanting to be a part of it. And just like, I'm just giving you benchmark moments. And I remember, fast forward, that was like February 2003. Fast forward, Ludacris was doing Too Fast, Too Furious. And they said, we taking some people down to Miami. We don't know who we taking yet, but we're going to take some of our street team people down to Miami, and I call Shay every day. I just want to go to Miami. I do whatever. I just want to go to Miami, and I don't know. And he called me like the night before. No, not even the night before, the day of. 3 hours before they was leaving. Like, me and my man Matt, shout out to my man Matt, and he was like, y'all want to go to Miami? Yeah. Packed a quick bag, jumped in one of them old promo vans, and drove from Atlanta to Miami, and put up posters and all that for Too Fast, Too Furious soundtrack that came out on Disturbing the Peace Records, and Def Jam, Luda was in the movie and all that. And but even during that weekend alone, like, the things that I was exposed to, like, Shaka was like, yo, give me a ride over here. And we went up the ride over to the Lowe's Hotel in Miami. He went to go have a conversation with Fat Joe, like, outside the hotel, and I'm just standing. I'm just happy to be around it. Fat Joe got a big Terror Squad chain, but off in the corner, off in the tuck, was a young DJ Khaled.
Wow.
Standing behind Fat Joe with the Terror Squad chain, like, he was just the DJ. Like, nobody was, like, trying to have a real conversation with Khaled. No disrespect to him, but he was on his grind. Yeah. So it was the fact that you don't know 20 years later that Khaled's going to be one of the biggest people in the world. I remember meeting Trina, meeting Missy, and all in that whole week. But once again, what always drew me back was the marketing piece. Was they had, because of the movie, they had rented out a mansion for the movie that Luda and all them stayed at. And Hypnotic was a sponsor of this mansion. And some other brands were sponsors. I think maybe Hennessy, I'm not sure. But,
and you were taking note of that.
Just looking at it like, man, like, how do you get all this free alcohol in here? Just like not knowing what a sponsorship truly was at that time. So, you know, those things always caught my eye. So. Got you.
So from moving from Discernment of Peace and then going into your next phase, well, first off.
Hold up. Let's not move too fast. It's a lot. So
what are we missing?
Because I did like almost 10 years in DT.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so it's a lot.
But moving from your internship is what I was mainly saying. Did you end up in an active role with the label?
Yes.
What did you end up doing? Or how did you get there?
But just getting paid for it now. I was doing Street Team for free, and that was Street Team getting paid for it.
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Promotions, the promotions department. But the thing is, once again, I had stopped for a minute because I was like, well, I'm not getting paid. I didn't see anything. And it was, once going back to the AUC, it was some kind of concert or something at Morehouse. I went over there Jeff was there, and Shay, my guy Shay, was there.
But at this point, you didn't go to Clark. You just kept your foot in there.
I was always around.
Yeah.
I was always around. My cousin PK played basketball for Clark, so I was always around. And I seen Shay, and he was like, yo, we got a tour coming up. You want to go on tour? What? Yeah. I was like, Shay, don't play with me. No, I got you. And he said, I give you my word. I got you. And I called him every day. What's up? Oh, we trying to get it together. Yo, don't play with me. And same thing. Last minute, he called me. It was like 11 at night. Yo, get a plane ticket right now. Go to New York. Meet the tour bus. You on tour. I ain't had no money. I'm trying to call my aunt, anybody, to give me some money for this plane ticket. Nobody had no money. So now I'm heartbroken. I'm distraught. I'm like, shit, I can't get a plane ticket. Like, man, what you mean? You ain't got no money to get a plane ticket? You talking about you trying to do this? I'll call you back. I was just sitting by the phone, sick. And he called me back like an hour later and was like, you know what? Just tomorrow morning, go up to the DTP office, meet my cousin Tank. Y'all gonna drive to New York to meet the tour bus. And that was my beginning of where I'm at now.
Oh. And you were on tour with who?
The crazy thing, it was for the Ludacris compilation album with the Georgia on it and all that, and Getting Some Head. And it was just me, Tank, and my guy Cheatham, who was, we were all we had a bus to ourselves. The whole tour bus, rap, Ludacris, but the whole premise was, this is where the strategy part comes in there. Shout out to Jeff, this was all his strategy. Kanye West was going out on the Touch the Sky tour. It was him, Keisha Cole, and Fantasia. So Jeff said, we're just going to shadow that. Everywhere that bus go. Y'all follow the bus. Y'all follow the Kanye West tour. Everywhere it goes. So everywhere when we got out, put the posters up, handed out flyers, Chicago, Detroit, Philly, Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte.
They had no idea y'all were...
They knew it was there because they was Def Jam. Kanye was Def Jam.
Oh, okay.
Well, we wasn't technically supposed to be there, so we, Jeff just said, just go. And we went, and I made $250 a week and $25 a day per diem. That was so this is where the hustle comes in. That we was like, me, Tay, we said, man, $250 a week, I can't even eat and buy sneakers and do all this. So what we did was we got cool with Keisha Cole's team. This guy named Wood was her hype man, and Manny at the time was her manager. So celebrities at that time, they not eating the food that's in their dressing room. So every night we went to Keisha Cole's dressing room, took her entire rider, put it on our bus. So now I don't have to buy food.
Right.
Like that was every night for like 3 months. So now I can save money in my pocket.
Wow.
So we did that every night for 3 months.
Wow.
Yep.
So talk about the sacrifices you're making during this time, like, to set you up to where you are now, to be in this like position for a major brand.
The sacrifice is always time. At that time, for me, time versus money. Time versus money. Because it was a time when people was like, well, you got to get a job. So I'm like, I used to feel like if I go get a job working at Walmart or working at a fast food place or a retail store, I'm going to miss out on whatever's happening over there at that office or whatever.
Being in the space.
I'm going to miss out. So I'd rather sacrifice and like just find enough money to pay my cell phone bill and everything else will come.
That's all you needed to pay was that cell phone.
I'm going to figure out a way to eat, but just pay the cell phone bill.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So let me ask you about, you've worked on several campaigns. You worked with several brands at this point in your life. Can you recall one of your favorite, that we haven't talked about yet, one of your favorite campaigns to date that you've been a part of and like why it was your favorite?
2. One, I would have to say Ludacris and New Era because that was the first, and how that came across where seeing the white space. My guy Pete Oakley reached out to me and said, yo, Dean, I got the lady from New Era. They have this whole Capture the Flag program that they're doing. They really want to get Jermaine Dupri or T.I. for this campaign. I'm sitting at the DTP conference table when I got this phone call. And he said, they really want Jermaine Dupri or T.I., and if you can make that happen, we'll take care of you or whatever. I said, what about Ludacris? Right? And the reason why I said that, because at this time, I was managing, me and PK was managing an artist named Small World. And we were recording his album. Album's going to come out that summer or the following summer. And I was like, well, I got my artists. And he said, well, if you can get Ludacris, we'll put your artist in it too. So I went to Shaka every day like, yo, got this opportunity for New Era. He told me, nah, we cool. Luda really don't wear hats, whatever. And it was Chingy had came back to DTP at this time when he did the song with Anne Marie and all that. And I went to Shaka every day, and I wasn't getting through to him. And a guy named Ken Bailey, who was the A&R at that time, he said, look, I said, yo, man, I went to Ken. He was always like a big brother, confident type person. And I said, yo, man, this is it. And Ken said, print all this stuff out, print it out. I printed it out, and he walked me into Shaka's office like, you need to listen to him. You need to listen to him. And Shaka was like, go ahead, you got a couple minutes. What's up? I said, he said, get the lady on the phone. I hit Pete, set the phone call. New Era flew down to Atlanta. They created hats. This was still print magazines, Double XL, Slam, and all those kind of things. So all the campaigns were across all those magazines. It was with Harris Publications at that time. And it was like, oh, this is Small World album, world premiere album coming soon. This is Ludacris, this album, this is, so you just flip the page and they were all in New York. So that was the first time that I was like, wow, I can do this. And that was my Steve Stout moment or whatever. And then the second thing, my other second favorite.
Before you go, the one thing that I noticed that you said a couple times is that you called or you spoke to them, whoever it may be. In this case, it was Shaka, every day until you figured out. Yeah. Why is that persistence, that consistency important to getting you to where you need to be? Especially for somebody who like Shaka, who probably had like 1,000 things going on in his head.
But it's twofold. Number one, people at that stature always have 1,000 things going on. Shaka, Oprah Winfrey, doesn't matter. That's how they are, who they are. That's how they got. I guess that's how they became who they are, right? Being able to multitask, do all these things, manage people, manage businesses, and everything. So. I don't think it's a disrespect thing. Like I'm ignoring him. I think I have so much going on right here.
Why is this important?
That I'm making millions of dollars from. That what are you bringing me that's going to impact this? So or even compete with this. But the consistency part is, I guess it's like something that comes from my family, my mother, my grandmother, my aunt. I was brought up around entrepreneurs, my uncle, and not even knowing what it was. I always tell people, like, even as a younger kid going back, my aunt used to have block parties. Like in Philly, they had block parties. You would block off both ends of the street, and there was a DJ, and there was food, and there was tables. So dating all the way back, that's pretty much event management, event planning. But you don't know it's that back then, but that's what it is. Oh, Dean, help the DJ set his crates up. Oh, I was a little kid. Oh, unfold those chairs and put them to the tables and put the tablecloths over. But you're really setting up for an event, right? Block off that end of the street, go get a rope and get one of the girls jump ropes and tie it from that pole to that pole just to block off the street so no cars are coming up and down the street. Like, that's event management on a small scale, but that's what it's setting you up for 20 years later. Wow. That's how I feel about it.
No, for sure. Okay, second campaign.
Drake and Sprite, when I worked at Coke, and once again...
You were behind that.
I'm going to tell you how.
Wow.
And how it works, and just the persistence, the passion, believing in yourself. And this is the point where even after the Ludacris and New Era program, I didn't believe in myself. Like, I can do this.
Why not?
Because it came and went, and nothing was coming after it. Like, it was almost like a fluke opportunity, like a layup. It was there, laid up. But my guy Ronaldo, who's a stylist, he got called from Atlantic Records to style Music Soul Child for a Coca Cola campaign. Oh. And once again, me always being a student, always being on Google, Ad Age, Ad Week, all the marketing blogs. I seen like Coke was coming out with some product or something like that. And he said, I was at his apartment, he said, oh, I have to style the lady from Coke for her birthday. So this was after the campaign he did. And she's coming over here to meet with me to talk about it. And when he said that, I said, I need to go meet with her. He said, what do you mean you gotta go meet with her? I'm handling business. I need to meet with her. So it's that passion, that persistence. And he introduced me to it, said, hey, Yolanda, this is my guy, Aldin Jackson right here. He does a lot of marketing and stuff. And I mentioned to her what I saw on like one of those blogs about Coke, and she gave me her card and she said, email me your resume. And a week or 2 weeks later, I was hired at Coke.
Wow.
I think she's seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. To this day, she's still my mentor. I call her for everything. But she's seen something in me I didn't see in myself. And I'll never forget, Drake was on So Far Gone. And I got hired on my birthday, June 30th, 2009. And as soon as I walked into her office, they asked me, who's somebody cool that we can put with Sprite? It's the first question I was asked. Well, I said, Drake. And they said, well, who's Drake? Remember, he was on a mixtape.
Right,
they didn't, corporate didn't know who he was.
Right.
He's this, he did 80,000 mixtapes. She said, put it on paper. Tell me who he is. And this now, we didn't have, I think Twitter had just started, was about to start.
2009, yeah, for sure.
Just started. So we didn't have metrics to say he has 3 million Instagram followers and this and that. So it was like, he got a Twitter page, he got this many Twitter followers, and he did this many mixtapes. That's all we had. And he got a song, he got Lil Wayne on his mixtape. That was all I had to go off of. I was like, but he cool, all the kids. And she said, well, do the due diligence, find out what it's going to take. And I don't know how I got in contact with Tez and them, but I figured out a way to do it. And I think I like probably text Shaka or something like that. And got in contact with him and said, if you give us $750,000, we'll do whatever you want to do. At that time, Drake knew his value, right?
Yeah, because I'm like,
that's a lot for a mixtape artist. It was that was the number, 750. And she said, I'm not giving him 750. Like, who is he? He's a mixtape artist. Long story short, when they did the deal, it was for some millions. And when they eventually did the Sprite deal with Drake, it was for some millions. And that right there was the thing that told me, like, to never, ever doubt myself again. That right there. Ever. And that also, I think, helped solidify my relationship with her, because even when I wasn't at Coke, like, she would call me, like, ask me ideas and stuff. We would always bounce ideas off each other. And she's like the only person in my life at this point that can call me and get free ideas. The only person that can call me and like pick my brain, so to speak, and like without me saying there's an invoice for that.
How important is it for you to not accept the whole pick my brain idea? Because, you know, everybody's like, I have a consultation fee, or...
Well, it's 50-50, and I'm not going to try to act Hollywood like I'm charging people, because I can give you 7 pages worth of people that's allowed me to pick their brain, you know.
Right.
That's whether they were a DJ or this person or that person, that's about anything. So I'm not even going to sit up here and act Hollywood like you can't talk to me. So I'm always willing to talk to some people. You have to know when somebody's like truly genuine and don't know, and you can tell when you like, yo, you don't know, you should turn left instead of going right. Right? Or somebody's like, they know, and they like, yo, if somebody tell me, for example, hey, man, what Reebok working on for next year, blah, 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 I can't give you that information. Right? That's not picking my brain. You trying to get the jump. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if somebody like, yo, I'm thinking about managing this artist, and I'm thinking about pressing up 4,000 mixtapes, that ain't it right there at this point in the world. That's not it. Yo, bro, don't do that. Save your money. Put everything on DSPs. You know, get your social game right. You know, I don't want you to spend $5,000 and then A3C coming around, you trying to pass somebody a mixtape and they looking at you like you crazy.
And they throw it on the ground.
Exactly.
Right. So, okay, you spoke about a few people within your journey already that, especially this lady at Coke, right?
Yes.
Who's valuable to you. How have your relationships played a major role in your professional life? Like, obviously, you know, knowing Ronaldo to get to the lady at Coke was how you got to Coke, or Shaka being able to call him and say, hey, I need to get in touch with Drake. You know what I mean? These relationships, why is that so important, especially for somebody in the entertainment space?
I learned that from Shaka. Like, I think Shaka is a master at managing relationships and putting people in a room together. And the biggest thing he taught me was like about a relationship, it doesn't have to benefit you all the time. It don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna put Sammy with Robert, and I gotta be the middleman, and I need 10%. Right. Sometimes you need to put Sammy with Robert and let them go create something great, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the middleman on everything. Right. You don't have to have a percentage of everything, right? Like that's cheap, that's cheesy, but also once again, it's a judgment call. You need to know when you need to be the middleman and to say, yo, I need my 10% or whatever my fee is. Like, oh, I'm about to put Sammy and Robert together on a $100 million deal. I need my 10%. You know what I'm saying? But if it's like, yo, meet Sammy, she do the IdOMUSIC podcast, it's somebody to be good for you to interview.
Cool.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I don't need nothing from that.
Facts. So, so we live in a world, and you actually talk about that your mission is to assist brands on understanding this global multicultural consumer landscape.
Yes.
And creating value.
Yes.
To deliver that authentic and honest strategy.
So what the value is this. I'm not doing anything special that the next person can't do, right? It's how you package it up though and deliver it to the brand. That's the difference. That's what makes something special. Like,
and what would you say that looks like to?
Once again, I learned from my mentor Yolanda. She said, like when Steve Stout walks into a room to get business, he doesn't walk in there with a team of people. He comes in by himself. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Clear, concise, straight to the point. Why this makes sense. Who he can implement into it. What the return value will be. That's it. Mm-hmm. And he gets his check and he goes and creates, and the rest is history. True. Right? So we need to figure out how to do that for ourselves. Like everybody can't be Steve Stout. Everybody can't be a Shep Gordon. Everybody can't be a Rich Paul or Maverick Carter type thing. But we need to figure out like how to do that for ourselves. Like what do you do? What do you offer that's different from the next person? That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. So what I know for a fact is about myself is that, number one, I tell people what I know is what I know, and what I don't know, I'm willing to shut up and learn, right? Mm-hmm. So what I know is what I know mean that I am able to tell you that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. That's not cool. And the reason why that's not cool, because people don't think that way. Once again, this is not about African American. This is about the youth culture doesn't think this way. They don't operate that way. Mm-hmm. They don't want a commercial with that celebrity holding up a shoe or a bottle saying, hey, buy this, right? They want immersive experiences. They want it to be tangible. So when you think about brand activations, I know Atlanta just had the Super Bowl. We had a lot of brands here activating.
We just did the Reebok event with Childish Major.
Yes.
Which was very immersive. You were able to create your own hat. Yes. You were able to dig for the diamonds that correlated with his album.
Yes. So even to touch on that, I didn't want to, try to thank you for laying it up.
I mean, shit. I was the hosting it, so I'm going to lay it up.
My guy, Calvin, that works at Reebok, Calvin was like a main stake in bringing that together. I just started at Reebok in March. He was working on that long before I started. Mm-hmm. Whitney and Nicole, who were also there from Reebok, they worked on that really hard. So I was just happy to be along for the ride for that one. So I'm not going to sit up here and act like I really did anything.
No, Calvin did a great job.
Amazing job.
I just was speaking on the fact that it was like an experience and activation where you felt like you got something from it. Definitely.
So you definitely want to hit people at different passion points. So it was fashion, of course, with Reebok. It was music. It was the creative thing where they were putting hats together, and the photo booth experience was even different. Yeah. Everything, the food, the drinks, everything. You want to hit people from every angle to create a memory, right? And the memory is that when they once they leave that event and walk into a retail space, you just want them to remember your name, to pick it up, to purchase.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
For any brand you've ever been to that's giving out free alcohol or free whatever, they do that because we're going to give you a taste, or what this is, or we're going to seed you with some shoes or a shirt or a hoodie or something, or a free cup or something with our brand on it. So when you walk into the retail space and you have a million options to choose from, choose us.
Right. Absolutely. So, okay, influencer marketing, right?
Yes.
Who do you consider to be an influencer? What does that look like to you? How do influencers impact the culture so much that they help brands?
I think influencer marketing has changed so much in the last 10 years, definitely 10 years. 2009, when Team Epiphany was building their agency up, they were doing so many different cool and creative things. They still do. But with Instagram, I think Instagram has just changed so much in so many ways. When you can buy followers, right? It's hard to tell who's who, right? Because I can show you somebody with 500,000 followers, and I can show you somebody with 20,000, or not even that, with 5,000 followers that don't have more influence, right? I remember, for example, when Shaka got on Instagram when he first got on it. So, for example, let's use him. If he has 5,000 followers, I'm sure he has more than that now, and this person over here has 200,000 followers, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have more influence than him. Relationships, the people that you can call, the things that you can make happen through your relationships. People think influence and I'm an influencer because I have 20,000 followers, right? And I've had people call me and say, Dean, you should give me 50 pairs of Reeboks or 100 pairs of Reeboks because I can seed them to this person, this person, this person, this person. I can do this. That's why I'm here in my seat to do that.
Right.
So once again, we have to be able to do something different.
Right.
Like, you have to have, your value is be able to do something that somebody else can't do. It's like a sports team. There's a quarterback, there's a wide receiver, there's a running back, there's a defensive player.
Everybody has a role.
Everybody has a role, right? And then you bring all that together to make the machine go smoothly. So,
yeah.
But I didn't really get into your thing, but influencer marketing I think it's convoluted, if that's a good word to use.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many followers you have, but
I'm almost at 10K, y'all, so make sure y'all follow me.
So you're an influencer because, once again, you have a platform, right, that you can have these conversations through and bring light to whatever the next person is doing. So that's an influencer, right? I don't know how many impressions you get. That's a whole nother thing.
No, I think I'm happy you said that because I agree with you. You know, I see some of my peers who do similar things, but like my engagement on my post are tremendous because it's organic. It's like people who actually support the movement.
So you can tell when people are buying followers. If somebody has like 40,000 Instagram followers and they have 200 likes on the picture, 9 times out of 10 they bought some of them followers.
Right.
If you go on like a Cardi B page or Beyonce page or Kim Kardashian page and they post something with those millions of followers, like Kim Kardashian would be having like 2 million likes, one picture, 3 million likes, like that's real engagement right there.
So how do you stay connected to and, in your words, rooted in the culture? Just, you know, as you get older, your thoughts on life change, your perspective changes, you know.
So life's motto is you cannot market to the culture from behind the desk. That's my life's motto, right? So meaning that whenever I touch down to a city, I think it goes back to the street team in me. We had this thing where when we would touch down in the city with Ludacris or anybody, it's like, we got to go to the hood. Like, where the chicken wing spot at, where the hood sneaker store at, not Foot Locker, Foot Action. Where's the
local
Walters or the Wish in every city, right? That boutique store, where the strip club at, right? All that kind of stuff. Where's the action really taking place? Who's the best high school basketball player? Where's that action? Where's the street ball games taking place? Where's that action happening? And I think with those, that tells you everything you need to know. When you go to the basketball court, people are dressed in a certain kind of way. People are talking a certain kind of way. When you go inside the strip club, definitely for a place like Atlanta with Magic City, you're hearing music in there that you might not hear on the radio for another 9 months to a year, right? Or, you know, it might not be on that streaming playlist for another 9 months to a year. So when it finally hits, it's like, I've been heard that song, right? And my thing is, you never want to be learning from Jeff is like, why you can't do. I used to think being in the office was cool, which it is, when you get to a certain point in your career. And I used to want to be hanging around there because I thought I was missing out on something. And Jeff used to say, hey, yo, B, you need to get out of here. Like, you need to go out there. Like, this was when we was vinyl records, and we would take vinyl. That was our way to get into the club. And I remember AG didn't know who I was. And I used to try to walk through the back door of Visions, and he's like, get out of here. And I used to stand over to the side all night, and I couldn't get in until I learned, like, oh, Don Cannon and DJ Drama is DJing. Cannon, can I carry your crates? Can I carry your records? And I'll carry your records and that was my way into the club. Always finding the white space. And I think that's where I think that's my greatest skill set, honestly. And that's always coming from that position of an intern. Like, I never look at myself as, oh, this is Dean Jackson at Reebok or whatever. Like, and that's why I mean, like, titles don't mean anything, because those titles and things like that can be stripped if you don't own it, right?
But you always add value to whatever space.
You have to. You have to. So even whether you're there for 3 months, like I said, I was at Coke for a short period of time, but me saying, hey, Drake, it's this cool thing that you need to attach to, that's a value that I can stand on forever.
Right.
When Ludacris did the New Era thing, he had the highest selling collaboration hat at that time when it launched. That's something I can stand on to say, hey, this is why. Like, and a lot of times it's a feeling, so I had to learn how to communicate how I felt, my passion and how I felt about it, and relate it to the next person to where it makes sense in business, right? I can say, well, why should we partner with Jay-Z or Cardi B? Because they the coolest thing out. That doesn't make any sense in a boardroom. So
what would you say, if not cool, to relate, like, why this is an important part of the culture, or for this brand? If
I'm going to use Cardi B, for example, because I always tell people there's more Cardi B's than Beyonce's.
Gotcha.
Right?
She's relatable.
Super relatable, right? Every girl goes through her Cardi B phase, right? Whether she's coming up, we've seen it from her being on Love and Hip Hop to her doing all her crazy Instagram videos, to her coming off Love and Hip Hop, to her doing before Bodak Yellow, all the YouTube videos in the hood, and then she kept working. She didn't stop, and then she found something, which was Bodak Yellow, and then that became... And then she didn't stop there either. Some people get that one hit. She made a lot of money off that song, toured the world off one song. Some people like slow up, like, oh, I did it.
Right.
She was like, oh, no, there's more.
Right.
And there's more, and there's more, and then the Fashion Nova, and the Reebok partnership, and so many things that she's attaining, which is super cool.
It is cool. So I know that, we've talked about all of your professional things, all of the accomplishments you've been able to make, but you also are a father of 2 twin girls.
Yes.
So, and
my greatest accomplishment to date.
To date. So, how old are they?
They'll be 6 next month.
Oh, wow. So young. And they live here. Now you're in Boston. We talked about it off the record that they'll be joining you in Boston this summer, so that's exciting. But I just want to know, like, how do you balance your personal life? Like, do you have time? Do you struggle with the balance, or you just figure it out?
I'm not perfect. You definitely struggle with it as a father, as a parent. If you're that far away from your children, you're going to miss them. But then the other part is, like you said, you got to figure it out. Like,
because I imagine your job to be kind of demanding.
Yeah.
At times. So, like, are you missing a lot of things? Do you feel...
Yeah, I try to, do the FaceTime as much as possible. Sometimes you get home and you're so tired that you forget the FaceTime.
Yeah.
I literally come home and go straight to sleep.
There's a time difference?
No. I just be tired.
No, I'm just wondering. I wasn't sure about Boston.
It's Eastern time. So.
It's Eastern time, yeah.
But yeah, like, my daughters are great. Just graduated from kindergarten. Very smart. Very
twins.
Aware of their lifestyle and their surroundings, and understand that daddy lives in Boston, works at Reebok, and that they'll be there this summer. Like, they understand.
That's good.
You know, good having a good support system. You know, a co-parent that works through it with you. A great support system, family, friends. You know,
That's what's up.
all that.
Yeah, I always ask that question because, I mean, at least I know for us in this environment, like it's a interesting balance to have because you do have to wake up early and you know, may have to go out late, and it's just like that cycle, but fitting in the things that are important to you are important as well.
Yeah. And then important, like, things. As I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I don't have to go out every night. People always say, oh, you in the streets. Things don't change. Like the social scene and things like that, that's it's like somebody trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it is what it is. You're gonna have your cool people in your room, you're gonna have your newcomers into the room, you're gonna have your, you know, whatever.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, and it's in every city. Once you go out enough in a different city, like, okay, I understand what LA is, I understand what New York is, and you keep taking it overseas and whatever, like, but if you keep going back into that same room, it's always like, what's new? What's new? What's new? You know, I like I remember my first time going inside the Def Jam building in New York. Before you go in there, you think like it's this amazing, massive space. But when you get into these buildings, you realize it's people doing their job. All right, it's people doing their job, like just anything. So it's just they're affiliated, the affiliation with the brand, right? So I tell anybody like, oh, it's Reebok. Reebok is an amazing company, but when you come inside the building, there's an administrative department, there's a finance department, there's a legal department, there's a marketing department, design department. So people are doing their jobs to create amazing ideas and products and put them
to create what you see.
Yes, to create what you see. And I think it's the same thing anywhere. When you go inside of, you know, from the outside, it's like, oh, it's that record label or whatever. And you go in there and people are doing their A&R work and their marketing work to bring those songs and albums to life, and Apple or any other company.
That's dope. So one of my last questions is that, what advice would you have for someone who's interested in the space of like marketing and brand strategy, working with top brands and shifting the culture forward, that may not even know how to get into the room, you know?
So I think people need to want to go back to the white space, like finding where you fit in, right? Because once again, if you go on using social media as an example, everybody has something in their bio. Everybody's a CEO of something. Everybody's a curator of something, something of something, right? So what makes you different? And that's the biggest thing. Like, I tell people, when I see people say in their bios or whatever, say brand partnerships, the first question I ask is, what brand partnerships have you done?
Right.
Right? And if you haven't done any, that's fine, because there was a point there where I didn't do any. There was a point there Steve Stout didn't do any, right? So, or what is your path to get there, or understanding the assets. So one thing I learned from Stout was, his thing was he had the relationships with the talent. So that was his entryway into the boardroom, right? So it was the same thing with me when I got that phone call from New Era, which was a random phone call, right? I had a relationship with talent at that time. It was just ludicrous, but that was a relationship that I can bring together. So what's the leverage? Some people have relationships, are masters at having relationships with brands. I got this brand, this brand, this brand, this brand, but I really don't know the talent. So they're like, and that's how the middleman comes into play. Well, you got $5 million at this brand, but you don't know none of the artists. But Sammy knows this rapper, this singer, this person, and she can connect you with each one of those people, right? So, you know, that's that, finding the white space.
And a place to leverage yourself. Gotcha.
And then once you get in there, doing your job at a high level, that you can stay there.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So
that's very true. So where is Dean going to be in like 5 to 7 years? What do you imagine for yourself in 5 to 7 years?
My ultimate goal has always been, and it's changed, because when I was younger, when I was, 17 watching MTV, it was to work with a record label.
Next to Ja Rule.
With the artist. And then I had that opportunity through the DTP and worked at TIG, shout out to Fly and them, and consulted for different brands. And my last job before Reebok was at Rostrum Records, doing that. That was an amazing experience. But then you did that. And then it was like, oh, well, then I want to work in a marketing agency. But through the Coca Cola stuff, I was able to do that.
Right.
Like, understand how that works. Work at a marketing agency, create my own marketing agency, get Coke as a client for my marketing agency. Then that was that, right? And then it's, oh, well, it's just you got to keep checking off the box. I think we all always wanted to work at a sneaker brand. And the crazy thing, I don't even remember applying to the job. And when I got the call, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, okay, and always keeping a passion and excitement of a kid. Like, I'm 36, but be 37 next month. And a lot of times I still feel like that kid that ran up on Malcolm and asked him for that internship, right? Back then in 2002. But at this point, I think I want to cross over into like a talent agency, like down the line, like once this chapter is up, like a William Morris, ICM, something like that. I've always been like a fan of Entourage and watching Ari Gold. And of course, I know that's not how it works and looks every day, but that was the initial passion point for me to tap into that.
That's dope. I'm pretty sure you will, because
I'm trying.
You seem like you've manifested a lot of things in your space.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest thing is that, and I always tell people, like when I use Jason as an example, like we seen so much as people, and I think social media again does this as well, that we don't understand what we're doing sometimes, right? It's like you're doing the IdOMUSIC podcast. This is a media platform, but you could be looking at yourself like, you know what? This ain't enough. I want to be doing what Oprah's doing or somebody else in media is doing, but like you're doing it. And that's the thing, like you're doing it, right? And it may be like it might not be the money that you want right now, or you might not have the house or the car that you want right now, but you're actually doing it. And the difference is, and I'm sure you see this when you go out, you just did the Reebok event and you did a great job.
Thank you.
That people are coming up to you asking you, how did you start? Or how did you get that? Or how can they host something? Or how can they do a podcast? Or how do you know this person, that person? Because you're doing it, right? But I think when you look at the Forbes list, oh, Jay-Z's worth $700 million. You're like, damn, $700 million, like, or such and such worth $1 billion. You're like, damn, like, yeah, you know, Dr. Dre does this headphone deal for this, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, we can't. If we measure our success to money, we'll always fail, right? Because there's always going to be somebody with more. Like LeBron James has this much money, he doesn't have more money than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has this much money, he don't have more money than Oprah. Oprah got this much money, she don't have more money than the man that just donated money back to Morehouse, right? Somebody always has more. So we chased money, we'll be running forever. We'll be chasing forever, right? But if we have a checklist of our personal things and professional things, like, oh, you know, I didn't have a father growing up, so I want to be the best father I can be. That's a check mark, right? That might not be something that's just seen publicly every day, but
that's something you're working towards every day.
That's a personal goal, right? Just things like that, you know.
Yeah. You've given me a lot of gems. You've talked to me, so I'm sure you talk to everybody that's listening to this podcast. I wish you much success for all of the things that you do have coming up, personally and professionally.
Thank you.
But if they want to hear more, if you're dropping some gems on social media, can you?
I don't really do that.
I don't really do the whole
gems. Like my Instagram name is Aldin Jackson, Aldin Jackson. You can DM me, ask me anything. I can pretty much decipher if it's real or whatever. But I don't do that because everybody does. Once again, the space is convoluted. Everybody's an expert at something. Like, oh, there's 1 million relationship experts, 1 million marketing experts. And my thing is you can't be an expert, because if you are an expert, then you should have the things that come with, and everything's not about monetary things or material things, but when you're an expert at something, right, then that means that you should have the things that come with being an expert. If you're an expert heart surgeon, right, then you should be called on when people need heart surgery. Right. They should be flying you all over the world. This is the best heart surgeon in the world. Like when Kobe Bryant was an expert at what he did, You called him Kobe Bryant to take the last shot of the game. He delivered.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Tom Brady's an expert at being a quarterback. You see what he does. Like, an expert should have the things, and it's not always monetarily. The monetary part is the benchmark that we looked at. Say, okay, I got the house, I got the car, I got the stocks and the bonds and the watch and the this and the that, right? But that's the result of being an expert in your field.
Being skilled.
Skilled is one thing. An expert is something totally different. Like an expert, like, so people when they say, I'm a marketing expert, I can never say that, right? Because I'm still looking at a Steve Stout when he's like, oh, the marketing game has changed and I'm doing United Masters and I'm doing it because of this. Okay, he's seeing something that somebody else is not seeing. Or, like I say, a doctor or whatever, like an engineer. When you see somebody like, I always looked at like Jay-Z, for example. He's the greatest rapper in the world. He is. Songwriters Hall of Fame, he is, right? But when you take, I know we're in Patchwerk Studios, somebody like Young Guru, who he's used since for a very long time to be his engineer, I would consider Guru to be an expert at an engineer, but even he would tell you that he has people that he continuously looks up to and researches. So it's always somebody better than you at something that we can always learn from. And I give a lot of credit in this space right now, and we can wrap up with this for me. I give Joe Budden a lot of credit right now for reinventing himself in the media space. I know I did my little short stint at Dash Radio, and he was one of the reasons why I said, I want to give a hand at Dash Radio podcast and whatever, because what I like about his position is he has the firsthand experience in the industry at a high level, being having a hit song, dealing with having all these relationships. And so when we're listening to him, he's not just giving his expert opinion. He also bases it off a lot of facts because he has personal relationships with a lot of these people, or knows these people, or done business with them, cross paths with them, whatever, that he's speaking on these topics that he's speaking on. Right. So with that, I think he's given us hip hop, in the hip hop culture, a different lens to look at media, podcasting, journalism, because that's what it really is, even if you didn't go to school for it. That's another thing. And I want to tell people, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell people not to go to school, but if you choose not to go to school, choose to drop out of school, whatever, make sure that you still going to need some kind of tools to go do any kind of job. So me, I was searching Ad Week, Ad Age, learning like, an agency, this is the people that work at agencies, this is how it works, this is the people that work at brands, this is their titles. I had a older lady that I met on the Kanye West tour all those years ago, relationships, that said, you don't have a LinkedIn page? And this was like 2012 and 2011, something like that. And I created a LinkedIn page, and LinkedIn has been so helpful to me. That's how I got my job at Reebok. Really? Through LinkedIn, yes.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really helpful tool that people forget about.
I just want people to know just because, and you're going to have to work harder, a lot harder, if you don't go to school and somebody else got the degree from Harvard or Spelman or wherever. But it's not to say that it can't be done. Right. Even at Reebok, they're not hell-bent on you have to have a degree to work here. They actually look at people more that don't have degrees but have become not experts, but become very skilled and very aware and very informed about their area that they focus on, or their area of expertise.
Right. Yes. I agree. And those are great tools. I think educating and positioning yourself is very important.
In conversation, mastering the art of conversation. Through podcasts, to anybody you meet, hey, what do you do? What do you do? How did you get here? Let's connect. Let's exchange contact information. How can we build? How can we utilize our network to help one another? Facts. So many people along the way have helped me. I can go on all day. Richard Dunn, somebody who's an amazing person here in Atlanta. I used to pass out flyers for nightclubs, and he used to pay me to do that. And so many people along the way. Shout to Benji over at Rostrum Records and Jonathan over there. And so many. I can go on all day, but I just want people to understand that there's always an opportunity. There's always a white space that needs to be filled in. And you just have to find out what you do good or what you do great. And you got to stand on it. Like, you can't waver. Because when you waver, people can see it. Like, oh, you really don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
You got to know. And you can know without being arrogant. And you can know without being cocky. You can just know. So
absolutely. Well, I thank you again, Dean, for sitting down with me. Once again, you guys can follow him at Aldin Jackson. It's Aldin, as well as this podcast at IDM Podcast, and myself at Sammy Approved on all social media platforms. I really, really thank you for spending your Memorial Day with me.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, for real.
No problem. I'm going to let you get out of here.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right, peace.
Sonically superior.